Good morning.
Good morning.
So it was down to the wire this morning, but vertical and moving forward. So trying to be a little more organized. Actually have a kind of a thing that I'm filling out for what I want to talk about. A little less rambling, maybe, probably not. Um, have not had my first sip of coffee, so I am sharing that with you. Happy Lunar New Year. Granted, it was 2 days ago. It was February 1st. For some reason, I was thinking it was February 3rd. But I'm going, hey, fat toy. Hopefully I said that right. Which is Happy Lunar New Year in Chinese, or close to it. We have 5 books today between the two of us. And we have some really cool stuff going on today, or I do. Illustration Club is tonight at 8 p.m. We're going to be talking about ugly sketchbooks and drawing hands. So we're going to tackle the two crazy topics. The hands are always the
limbs are digits are always difficult.
I think feet are harder for me, actually.
I mean, I never drew hands as a kid on anybody, like growing up. But I wasn't trying to draw like realistic looking people. I was drawing like, here's the little guy with the ship and the space station or whatever. So yeah, those were
mechs.
I drew some mechs.
You drew mechs like crazy. From what you told me.
I could straight up draw a Robotech Veritech fighter that was in robot form and not in aircraft form, and they looked like dead on.
And then you did the ship, because he has the thing for tall masted ships.
Oh yeah.
So he did the ship for me one time. I actually, early on, when we started dating, I had gotten him into some of the Art for Cures projects that I was running, collaborative books, the coffee one, and which I've talked about and posted before. So, but he did a ship for one too, which was entitled On the Wine Dark Sea, and actually had influence in what I named our ship for Kentucky Browncoats. Jui Hashen is the On the Wine Dark Sea is the name of our ship. So we had that. But I'm going to dive into the books. But the Illustration Club, there will be a link below. It's free. I have a love-hate relationship with money. I don't want it to be a hindrance for anybody. I know there's a perceived value, and people have said that I should at least charge $5. I'm going to talk it over with everybody, but I kind of want to keep it free so that anybody can join, and maybe I'll make something like, I do have stickers for it, but maybe I will make it to where people can buy kits or something. So we'll see. But so I've got 2 children's books and one architectural book. Francis D.K. Cheng is one of my favorite authors for architectural books. I found this later. I was an architectural design major, and I found this later. I don't remember having any textbooks for architectural design. I know I had to have, at least one. But Tony, the professor, was, he was lecture series. He was dive in, do it kind of thing. So it was take notes, and he was a working architect. So.
I had a year in high school drafting, but we never had a book in that class. The whole book was, you're in front of the drafting table. You have the big drafting machine. You have a schematic drawn on the board, and you have a handout of what it's supposed to look like. You have the measurements on the paper, and you were drawing. And he would come around, he would look, and he would like look at how light straight your lines were. He would look at whether you were using a ruler. He would look at all those things.
I mean, he goes into people.
And we didn't even have books on this kind of stuff. We were drawing machine drawings. We weren't drawing like, structures most of the time. So
we did a lot of elevations where you're looking at the house from the side. Like this one, Frank Lloyd Wright's Kaufman House. Yes, in here. But he goes into people, tonal values, value scale, how to crosshatch. I mean, there's just so much stuff in these books. And I have 2 other books by him. Mm-hmm. One that goes into structures of the world and goes into different types of architecture. It's gorgeous. And I eat this kind of stuff up. So if you're interested in architecture and want to practice some of the drawings and what goes into the drawings and what you need to include and that kind of thing, this is a really good book. Fixing my camera because it wants to autofocus. Okay. Ching is the one you got to remember. He's really, really good. Next is one of my favorites by Oliver Jeffers. Oliver Jeffers. And I have a Go Fish deck by this guy. I love his artwork. It says, The Incredible Book-Eating Boy. It's a disclaimer. Please do not try to eat this book at home. And I love that there's a bite missing. And it's hardcover. There's a bite missing out of it. And if you've seen any of my work, you know that I love mixed media collage, which is the reason I fell in love with this. He's got a very quirky style. There's no end pages, sadly. I always do like a good end page. But he uses vintage ephemera throughout.
That looks like
So there's text and there's, all sorts of stuff in here with paint over top of it. I mean, just his style is really cool. It looks like it reminds me of my scans I have of my grandmother's cookbook because they're all vintagey, that brown aged, flour and coffee stains all over it. And, but just a really neat use of ephemera and different, very sketchy. A lot of my artwork this year, I'm incorporating a lot of my architectural design and ephemera and doing more mixed media collage. Here soon, I'm going to start doing assemblages and dioramas again because I want to, only they're going to be all paper this time. So, The Incredible Book-Eating Boy by Oliver Jeffers. Very fun. This one also snagged it for the artwork. This one's called The Lost Path.
Ooh. And
the artwork in this is absolutely gorgeous. I know I'm going to butcher her name. Amélie Fleches. Might have said that correctly. But I love this style. And it reads almost kind of like a, not necessarily graphic novel, but there's a map on the inside of the end pages that's insanely gorgeous. And it's meant to look like foil, but it's not foil. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And God, detailed that is.
Wow.
I figured you'd like, because you got owls.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, it reads like a graphic novel. But how can you not love illustrations like that with all the bells and whistles and stuff to look at? There's a couple color pages thrown in, but most of it's this beautiful grayscale.
I like the darker palette on the colored pages. Even I like that red and purple.
Yeah.
On there.
So it's beautiful stuff. But books like this is what got me into the idea of doing a graphic novel, because I have one, Yeti and Luna. I love that one. That top palette is just gorgeous. Lots of earthy greens and just the blue in the middle. Like I said, the majority of it is black and white or grayscale, but they have sections where they kind of go off into a different palette. Beautiful stuff. Good story. Really enjoyed it. This is one of my inspiration ones that I keep on the side. I love the little character page. So, The Lost Path by Amelie Flechet. So those are my three for today. So are we doing sci-fi?
Oh yeah. This one.
He does read other stuff too.
This one I've been in.
Sci-fi.
I read everything sci-fi fantasy oftentimes, but I have been collecting science fiction in the last year and a half to the point where I probably have more of it than my fantasy now. Most definitely.
Well, we got into watching The Expanse, and
between that and the guy on YouTube that I watch, who does the book recommend, does the
we need to
the top 10 lists and different things, and the top 100 lists and things like that.
Yeah, we need to put a link to him.
And everything from classical sci-fi all the way through people like Alistair Reynolds and those that are writing today that write very detective-y science fiction, edge of outer, faster than light kind of technology kind of stuff. So everything in between. This is Spin State. This is, I believe this has at least 2, if not more, novels in this series. But this story is about an operative who has a clone, apparently has works as an operative investigating a mining colony that apparently wasn't an accident, and then is chased around by a killer for a while in the underground mines and things like that. And she gets hooked up to an AI that's a very risky procedure thing, and there's some really cool stuff in this story. And it's like one of at least 2 stories, if not 3 or so far. There's Spin State and the one that follows it. I can't remember the title of that one, but they're both by Chris Moriarty.
Look it up.
Very cool ship on the cover.
So the second book is there's a trilogy.
Okay,
there's 3 of them.
I own 2 of the 3. Yeah. But yeah, that Spin State is the first one.
Spin Control.
Spin Control is the second one.
And Ghost Spin.
Ah.
Which looks very Ghost in the Shell.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
So we will.
Looking at the description on the back of this one, even they do seem to have a lot of edge of cyberpunk science fiction kind of blended together with an investigative element. So,
Media Death Cult.
Mm-hmm.
The guy you were talking about.
Yep.
What's his name?
Moid.
Moid Modohoff.
Which is probably not his real name, but
No.
Well, considering he comes on camera and he looks like he works for the government.
Yeah.
Except he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. But he always has the harness, the shoulder harness for a weapon, and I'm like, he lives in England. I didn't think they were allowed to have guns in England. I could be wrong, but I would figure if you work for the government or have some kind of job related, you probably are able to carry one. So, but he always comes on camera. Hey, cooler yet. It's like, hey, the guy that recommended this book works for, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Moyd. James Moyd.
Yeah, right. I don't know that his job is that glamorous, because he's like, I would love to be able to do this full time because my job is awful or whatever. It's like, oh, okay.
So you've got another Alistair.
I have another Alistair Reynolds. I have one of the latest Alistair Reynolds here. This is in that big long string of Revelation space novels. This is The Prefect. Many have already read this. This is the latest in that saga of Revelation space novels. And he's investigating a covert plot in the Glitter Band, which is an interesting name of a kind of ring-shaped planet. That is a kind of a big housing structure.
I love those. We actually just saw one of those.
That spans multiple,
But I can't. Spoiler.
No.
So.
Yep.
Can't say it.
Yeah, no.
There was the gravity thing, and it was like Inception in space. Mm-hmm. Is what it looks like, because everything's curved and it's got that weird trajectory.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, aggressively relaxing. I search comics, and now I'm here. Hello. We actually have we both collect comics, and I actually was on Nerd Culture's podcast this past week, who I recommend. I will link them below after we're done this morning. What are your favorite comics? Who is your go-to comic right now, if you are still hanging out with us? I know I'm
way behind on what I read.
I'm way behind on a couple of them that I just found were out not too long ago, because there was several series for Firefly, Serenity. Oh. And there's one that's got 32 of them. And I think it's ended. But I haven't got any of them, and I'm the captain of the Kentucky Browncoats, so I kind of need to get them. I want them. But
they'd be easier to get if you knew about them as they came out and could pick them up at cover price, because that kind of stuff.
Well, I might be able to get a bulk set of them.
Like I picked up every issue of Hush for Batman when it came out as a comic issue.
He's my Batman
I went to the Atomic Comics down the road from my place, and I would just go in there every Wednesday. That's when they were putting the new stuff. No, I didn't even have a subscription, because subscriptions often you have to pick 10 or more comics that you're interested in, and they throw them in a box for you, all nice and neat, and then you have to come in and pick them up in big batches. I would just go in and go, okay, that's the new Batman on the wall. I'm going to grab that one. Oh, I don't have that one yet. Grab that one, And I would grab I would definitely grab what I was reading, which at the time was Hush, which was Jim Lee, Jim Lee artwork. I love Jim Lee's artwork, and now he's doing executive things for DC, which is amazing. But he's so involved. He's in the production side of DC, which is amazing. But I remember when he was drawing for Image, drawing Wildcats when he started, and I got Wildcats issue 1 when I was 11.
Yeah.
And I
don't remember what my first comic was.
It was my first comic book, my first real comic book. I think it was
an indie comic.
Wildcats #1. So,
but another one that I got into really heavily, and unfortunately it's not around anymore, is ARIA, Jay Anacleto's art, if I'm saying that right. So aggressively said, hey, Fantastic Four by Dan Slott is my favorite right now. The Thing has adopted these 2 kids, and Ben Grimm as a dad is the best. Oh! I think a new Firefly #1 came out this week. I love the Firefly world. Well, you need to check out the Kentucky Browncoats. If you are on Facebook, that's where the main group is. I do have a newsletter for people that are not on Facebook. And I started the group when we moved here, May of 2016. We celebrate our 5th year already. It is the 20th anniversary of Firefly this year. So I've got some stuff planned, mostly virtually. We're going to be doing escape rooms, and I'm still trying to get bowling going again, but I have members worldwide. I have a brown coat in Guam. So Sweden, UK,
Brazil,
all over. I've got one in South Africa. I've got one in Greece. I have all over the U.S. So you do not have to live in Kentucky to be part of my group. I take in all big damn heroes everywhere. So I'm actually doing a Firefly #1 cover. I'm illustrating for somebody. They commissioned me to do a piece because I'm an illustrator, graphic designer, book designer, writer, author. So I do a little bit of everything. Yeah, awesome. Oh, you're in Atlanta. Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, check out, it's KY Browncoats. I'll have the link after the video down there. It's also, I think, on some of the other videos. You can also go to renmeleon.com, and there is a link there as well. But I'm literally Renmeleon on every platform online. Pinterest is the only one. It's AM Selvaggio there. I had Renmeleon, and I didn't get locked out of the account, but I couldn't get into the account for some reason. And so I ended up making AM Selvaggio, and I've used that mainly, but now I'm trying to migrate everything over because they don't have a merge account thing, unfortunately. But yeah, so, and I do all of the artwork. So that's one of my, hang on, let me zoom in here. It's one of my magnets, and I have stickers. I have a bumper sticker that says "Wash your Goram hands. Don't be a reaver." I have all sorts of stuff, so a little bit of everything. But yeah, comic books, I tend to go for graphic novels and the big compilations instead of trying to get the individual comic books if it's something that isn't new. So one of the ones that we did for Jólabókaflóð, which is this wonderful holiday or tradition in Iceland that I found out about that we adopted. Christmas Eve, you gift books, and then you spend the rest of the evening reading and eating chocolate. Count me in. Books and chocolate, I'm totally there. So the one that I ended up picking up for myself was Klaus. And it's a graphic novel set of 3 hardcovers. The artwork is gorgeous. I will link to that. I've talked about it previously, and I think I've shown the books off on camera. But I'm usually architectural design books, map books, because I teach map illustration online. And I do read sci-fi. I do read a little bit of horror. Depends. Owl Going Back, who's a friend, somebody I met years ago at a native gathering down in Florida, wrote Crota, which I'll link to, which is amazing. I don't know what genre you read, but we can usually recommend a little bit of everything. He's the sci-fi fantasy guy. I write and read a lot of nonfiction, that kind of thing too. So couple of things before we go. 8 p.m. tonight is the illustration club. It's free. If you draw, if you do any kind of crafty, creative thing, it is a meetup on Zoom for 2 hours. Bring your own projects, hang out, do art. And that is set up on my Renmeleon page on Facebook and also on my site. And then my next art stream is noon on Saturday. Oh, cool. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just found Yellow Book Afloat. My heritage is Scott and supposedly part Norwegian, but I have friends in Sweden, and so the whole Scandinavian thing, I absolutely love the aesthetic, and Hygge is very much a thing for me, especially because of lockdown, and I've had to deal with fatigue because we've had COVID twice. We just got over it the second time, and we don't go anywhere. Right now, actually. So, and then actually, speaking of coffee, what is this? The Javalia?
That's Javalia.
The Javalia.
That's the medium roast.
Their
Javalia.
commercials are a riot.
They are.
But I remember Nescafe commercials with Giles from Buffy.
Yes.
He started out doing commercials for coffee before he did Buffy, which was cracking me up. They had this little romantic interlude kind of thing going on. As far as I have a list here, as far as streaming, what we're watching now, we're watching Boba Fett, of course. We just binged watched the first 5 episodes, and we're probably going to wait until the rest of them are out and binge the rest of it. We made it an event and kind of got together to do that. And Doctor Strange, I'm looking forward to. There's a couple other movies that are coming out. Still have not seen Dune. We still need to see Dune. A house full of COVID right now. No, only one who hasn't caught it. Oh no, steer clear. I know there's a thing is like herd immunity and this, that, and the other, but in retrospect, my opinion has been all 3 of us need to get it. My husband, my daughter, and I, so that we can be done with quarantine in 2 weeks. We did 14 days, a little longer than 14 days, before getting retested and everything. But it was a situation where it's like, okay, we're going to get better, and then he's going to catch it from us, and then we're going to have to start the 14 days over again. So, but yeah, so it was just,
I didn't have symptoms, I should say.
Yeah. Episode 6 was amazing. I haven't seen it yet, so don't say anything. But the first 5 were just phenomenal. Loved it. Loved Mandalorian. Binged watched the entire first season, and then binged watched the entire second season. Did the popcorn and snacks and the whole thing. And just made it an event. We're part of the 501st, technically, where he's Kenobi. Not that you can see it or anything, but he does the Ewan McGregor one.
Hello there.
Yeah. Oh, don't even go. Don't even start. Don't even start with the accents. That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, we're a split household. I do Rebel or Sith. My daughter is kind of a split, and he's definitely all out Rebel. Although he said he would go dark side for her because she wanted him to do a clone trooper, or what was it she was gonna have you do? I think it was a clone trooper.
Well, if she was going to do a clone trooper, I could be Kenobi. But I mean, if she wants to do Imperial, I don't mind getting Imperial garb for that. I will do something like a bridge officer or something like that, and go with her or something. Something that's light, something that's easy to wear and not die in like a suit of armor. But
Kenobi, though, you're not gonna get 5 feet without getting stopped constantly.
No, I know,
because you look like him when he's decked out. He looks like him. So it's pretty funny. It says Dune was wonderful too. I always thought that book would be hard to depict as a movie because Paul's enlightenment makes for a great read, but how do you show that? Yeah. As an author, as a screenwriter, the show don't tell thing is huge, and it is a learning curve because
and how do you show it minimalistically?
Yeah.
You know?
And with a book like that, I was worried to, how they were gonna depict things. From what I heard, they carried it off well. The cinematography on it, of course, was going to be amazing. But yeah, I want to rewatch the old one with Sting. And sorry, Sting's my go-to. Sting's my music. So, but I want to rewatch that and watch that with our daughter and then watch the new one. So, but yeah, so I think that would be cool. I actually have not read it. There are certain books that if they're really, really heavy-handed with terminology or crazy names, or my eyes kind of glaze over and my brain just like, nope, this is supposed to be relaxing. I really want to read it. I've just started reading sci-fi. I'm doing the books from behind the Expanse TV series.
It might be easier
really good
to read than say some of these kinds of sci-fi, just because there is a lot of high techy. What is it? Yeah. I'm making up a name for it kind of stuff.
No, I can write it.
Dune feels more like we're putting fantasy in space and we're talking about politics and all these things. So,
which I think is probably why I was kind of like...
It's space diplomacy and space cartels.
Space opera.
It's the family houses warring over spice on Arrakis. He who controls the spice controls the galaxy. That's, but compared to something like this... And they've worked
spice even into Boba Fett and the Star Wars universe.
Well, Star Wars didn't have spice first, technically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's been a thing in a few books. But let me see what else. Projects currently, I am finishing up Light Will Find Our Door, which is a book by Heather Smith. And we'll be publishing that under Dragonfly Press Publishing, which is my imprint. And then I have 2 books personally coming out, From Here to There and Get Going. And then I'm starting on my children's books. So Clementine's Garden is probably going to be the first one out the gate, between that and The Owl and the Mermaid. So one of the two. And I just released This Little Piggy, which is a retelling of the Toe play. And so my little mock-up here. I have my copy coming. And it's going to be a 6.5 by 6.5 square. This was just a little mock-up that I did on camera on Twitch. So I live stream. And like I said, I'm Renmeleon everywhere. So if you put in Renmeleon on any platform, including Amazon, that's where you'll find me. But I have lots of links that I'm putting below. Definitely check out Dune. Why it's so beloved is because it does complicated world building in a way that feels really natural, ends up being a quick read. Okay. I'm all about world building. He actually teaches a course on world building to K-12 kids online. I do map illustration. And I have links to that below too, but we're over time. You're trying to keep it shorter because we started out doing an hour and it just felt too rambly, and I like to ramble a lot. So especially with brain fog and fatigue that I deal with on a daily basis. And I'm ADD. I'm an ADD creative hot mess. So I always have some kind of thing to talk about. But definitely connect with us. Thank you so much if you're subscribing. And check me out on social. Like I said, Renmeleon on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check out the Kentucky Browncoats. We'd love to have you. And you have a fabulous rest of your week. And let me see. I really wonder if a book of Boba Fett ends with the desert people being his true power. I joked at the beginning of the series that it felt a little like a PG rated Dune in a good way. Ooh. I love the Tuscan. I have a backstory on my character, Nicola Carissa, when we played SWG, which is where we met 17 years ago. And the Tuscans were not her favorite because they killed her family. And I like that they're redoing the canon on, or, adding to the canon on the Tuscans. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. But everybody take care. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. And we will be back 9 a.m. Thursday next week with our coffee. And my next live stream, like I said, is noon on Saturday on Twitch and Eastern Standard Time. And we will be also doing Illustration Club tonight at 8 p.m. through Zoom. You want to connect with me if you want to get involved in that. And take care. Stay well. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. And be kind to people. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.
Thank you.